Hello everyone and welcome to the fourth video of this series on how to build the ultimate SharePoint Online modern intranet. The goal of this video will be on how you can actually connect your first site in a hub. So how do you make that hub? How do you connect other sites to it? And what impact does it actually have? And we've started by creating content on one site, but chances are really that your content will live in multiple sites. And in order to enable the dynamic content that we're going to talk about earlier, it's really important that we get this hub created and you understand the exact impacts and different options that you have. So for this video, I will be joined again by my good friend Seb. How are you doing, Seb?
I'm still doing amazing, enjoying my day-to-day kind of teaching how to go around and work with SharePoint Online and building amazing intranets. And I really think that this is a great topic that it is really, really close to my heart.
As well as burgers, right? Let's not
Oh
forget
yeah,
about the
yeah, that's
burgers.
we never forget about burgers, right?
In this video, we're going to have a lot less slides in the previous one, only one slide, which is kind of the housekeeping of where we are at in the series. If some of you, this is the first video of the series you watch, I highly recommend you go start at the top and watch them in order. I know some of you also fell on this video and you only want to know this specific subject, and that's okay as well. But if your goal is to kind of get the A to Z on how to build a modern SharePoint intranet, you can view the link to the playlist in the description below. Okay, Seb, so let's get started. Where do we actually start?
Well, we're gonna start by getting rid of the slides, and then
That's the first step.
afterwards, that's the first step. And we start where we left. You remember we left um, the uh, the Vlad Talks Tech. We have a couple of we changed the web parts. We have our burger news showing up, um, but we want to bring the superpowers of a hub to connect sites together to really serve as, in that case, as a hub, but not just as a hub, has a full-fledged intranet that really, really brings all the content together in a single area. So what we're gonna do, and that's something that maybe not all of you would have access to. And that's why you need to be friend with some of your admin people. That's why me and Vlad are friends, right? It's because I always need him to create me the hubs in the SharePoint admin center. All right, Vlad, that's
I
the
was
only
going to say,
reason.
as an admin myself, I always say that paying lunch and a beer or a drink to your admin from time to time is always a good investment.
It
So
is. It's great investment, and it lasts for a long time. Like you can always come back and say, "You remember that beer?" Now I'd love to have a
I
home.
need a favor.
Exactly. But the reason why we need to go to the admin center is because we want to designate or register this site or another site as a hub site. In our case, what we're gonna do here, we're gonna use the Vlad Talk Stack and we're gonna bring it to a hub site that we're gonna create. That hub site is this site. So right now, beautiful site, simple UI, striking beautiful. And we have a couple of news right here, but that's basically it. That's all. Just site. And one of the ways you can know that you're not in a hub site, there's no navigation on top. You see that site navigation, but there's no what we call the hub navigation. So we know that this site is not a site yet. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to your SharePoint Admin Center, select the list of active sites, and search for the site you want to turn into a hub site. So in this case, I already did the search here for tech lending. It found this site here. This site, if I click on this, there's a bunch of capabilities when that was created and all of that. So there's a bunch of data here that is interesting. But for our case, we're going to want to go to the hub and say register as a hub site. We also have the ability to associate with the hub. So you can always ask your admin to associate multiple sites to a single hub, and you can even do that for multiple sites at the same time. But in this case, we want to start with creating a hub. So what we're going to do here, we're going to register as a hub site. We're going to call it the tech lending. And the people that can associate sites with this hub will be myself. But Vlad, you know what? I'm going to give you some of those superpowers so you can add new sites to this hub. I will politely ask you to not uh, bring stuff that should not be in that hub. But I think that's going to be helpful for you maintaining this site in the future. So here you can think about how you can bring more people or empower more people to bring sites to that hub. Or yeah, exactly.
And let's be honest, an admin can always do it, but this would allow the admin in a way to kind of say like, "Hey, you're the owner of this hub. I don't want you to open a help desk ticket every time you want me to actually associate a new site. So what I'm gonna say is, tell me the 3, 4 people that can add sites to that hub. This way, I empower you to do it, and I am admin. As an admin, I'm not a blocker anymore. You can now do it yourself. I'm always here to help if needed, but you don't need to come to me for every request. So that's kind of awesome.
That's absolutely true. And even you're going to see how I'm going to join the hub. There's even more governance options that are possible here. So this hub was designated or was assigned or registered. So now if I reload this page, oh, what changed? Well, for now, there's one thing that really changed, and it's this thing. You see the navigation on top, which brings you back to the tech lending, which is the name of my hub. Well, we're going to have ways later on to add new links to kind of really create an interesting information architecture right there. So how do we bring sites to connect to this hub, to be associated to the hub? Well, let's go back to our Vlad Talk stack. And here, take a moment to look at this site, how it looks. It's very white. It's really it's a great site,
I love
but
the name of it, but the
yeah,
branding can use some love.
exactly. But you know what? I don't want site owners to decide on the theme of their site or on the look and feel. I want the hub to decide that. And earlier we discussed in the hub section that, you know what? One of the superpower of hub is to bring branding to sites that are registering. So let me go here and let me go to the site information. Site information, I have a site logo, I have a name, a site description, but I do have a hub site association. And this is where I'm going to be able to go in and select tech lending. When we connect this site to the hub, you're going to have a hub theme that's going to come up and also the hub navigation. So when I hit save, what's going to happen? Well, two things happen. The two things that we were told that was going to happen, right? The tech lending. So we have this navigation here on top without the add a link. And the reason why is because the navigation is at the hub level. So if you want to manage navigation, you're going to have to go to the hub. But also we have the theme now. So now instead of having that greenish theme, now it's that very similar to the Teams colors, right? So we can maybe call it blurple or purple and a mix of purple and blue right here. And now we have this site that has now been connected to here. So what does it mean? Well, if I go back here and I hit refresh, one of the really cool thing that's going to happen is these web parts here automatically or should have automatically being upgraded to use the hub context to bring the news. Now all these news were created 46 minutes ago, and this one was created an hour ago. So what we're going to do, we're just going to go here, and actually let me go back here. I'm going to create a new news just to show you how powerful is this. We're going to use the basic text. I'm going to hit create post. I'm going to say news that is newer than the other news.
So creative.
Yeah, I'm very creative. Um, and here I'm just going to post it. So now if I go back to the Vlad Talks Tech site, I see that, hey, I have my new news right here. It's there, it's available. But if I go to the tech landing and I refresh, and I refresh,
It might take a few seconds because it's search based.
it is absolutely true. While we wait, I want to show you some of these simple settings that we have just to make sure that it's already configured for the hub. So here, actually here, it's only on this
Ah,
site.
that's why.
That's why. So now we can just select all sites in the hub.
Uh,
And
now we see it. It already appeared.
exactly. So now all the sites can provide context and information to the root site or to the site that acts as a hub. So now you don't have to have permission to that intranet site. No. You just need to have permission to the sites where you really want to collaborate, to communicate your story, and automatically, because of the superpowers of the hub, it's going to automatically roll up all of that data. But that's
But
cool,
just
right?
want to clarify. It's super cool, but I just want to clarify, just for the confusion, everything is still permission based. So with the hub model, you can have in the same hub, you can have sites that are for everybody and sites that are restricted, let's say a manager site. Even if you configure it like Seb said, and on the homepage of the intranet, bring content from all of the hub, if Vlad, as a user, I do not have permissions to the manager site, I will not see that news. So this really kind of brings us in the topic for the next video for dynamic content. But I just
Exactly.
wanted, if I do a long story short, everything is still security trimmed. You do not see content that you're not allowed to see in any dynamic web part. And period. That's always the case.
Absolutely. And that's super important because you want to make sure that the content that is being shown to the users is two things. First, relevant. It means that it's something that you should be seeing that will not lead to question marks. Like, why do I see that? Second thing is also that it's going to automatically be secured. So everything you see on the news web part will always be secured to your own identity, to your users, based on the security schema that has been put in place. Now, a couple of things that I wanted to mention. Now, great, we have the Vlad Talks Tech site right here. But usually a home site, or a home site, sorry, a hub site has more than one attached site. It could only have one, that's okay. But it can have also hundreds. So one of the ways that we can do that, I always have the ability here to create a site. So I'm going to create a site. I'm going to use the communication site here. I'm going to say Vlad Talks Tech HR. So the HR department of Vlad Talks Tech here. I'm going to create a site. It's going to take a couple of seconds. Now, what is great is because I created it from the hub, automatically it joined the hub. So you can see here, the branding is purple, the navigation is there. So that's a great way to not have to ask yourself the question, which site do I need to join? No, it's right there. And now let's use another template. So I can use potentially here, it is a department because it's an HR department. So I'm going to select this one here. I have a good visibility on what this looks like. I'm going to use this template and it should take a couple of seconds, maybe up to a minute to apply all of these changes. And once the changes are done, the page will reload and will get me that super rich departmental template. So now we have it here. We have all the data that was required. It even created a couple of folders right there, news, and all these kind of things. So that's great, right? Now, how do I go back to the site I was? Like, I want to make sure that I'm going back. So there will always be a link right there on top. to go back to the tech landing, in that which is the name of our hub. So I go here, and now I can see all the content being there. We created 2 sites, right? So Vlad, how do I get to that HR site that I just created? I don't know, because I
Right
don't
now,
remember
you
the
cannot. Right now, you cannot. You should probably work on that navigation a bit.
exactly, and that's one of the things that makes hub sites super powerful. You can go here and add a link, and that link you can either add a link or a label. I'm going to add a label, and you're going to understand why I'm adding a label. The label here will be called uh, departments, and I can go here and add. There we go, and add a link. In that case, it will be to I think it needs to be done manually, right? So you need to know the URL of that site. So I'm just going to copy the HR site from here. I'm going to do here as the address right there. And I'm going to say HR or human resources. It's going to be more beautiful in the navigation. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to make it a sublink of the previous one. And I'm going to hit save. What happened? Now we have a great option here. We're using the mega menu of the navigation for the hub to list all of the departments. So I could have as many departments as possible. I can even add some more. I can say, let's say, information technology, and let's pretend that the Vlad Talks Tech is our information technology department.
If you just want to show it to management how it would look like, you don't even need to add a link. I mean, of course, you can always point to google.com or your company website. You can also just put a hashtag, and
Yeah,
it will not go anywhere. But if you want to show it to management what it would look like, it's good to add multiples in there.
absolutely. I think it looks better. For example, here, if I'm adding another, maybe another label, it would be the services, and let's call one would be like this, room reservation, uh, and then it could be a sublink of the other one, and this one would be promote sublink that way, and I hit save. Now we have the tech lending and all the different departments and the services, which is great because now you're going to see that you can really build a super compelling. Let's say you want to have other levels under human resources. Let's say you want to, under human resources, you want to create, what do you want to create, Vlad? Maybe something around forms.
Pay or forms,
Yeah,
yeah, that's a good one.
exactly. I'm going to do your payslip. Then I'm gonna make them a sublink of human resources and a sublink of human resources. And have you seen how easy it is to actually create navigation? It's really, really, really easy, and it makes management super, super, super simple. And now when I go back to departments, here you see my big link that brings me to the site, and the forms here, which would maybe bring me to a sub page, news, another system, right? Something that does not live within SharePoint. Maybe it's your service desk. Maybe it's something in your HR system like SuccessFactors or Service Now or whatever other tools you might be using that are integrating right there. So that is super simple to do, and it really, really allowed us to create a compelling story around navigation. So now, when I go to HR and I guess I
You
reload,
might need to do a hard refresh,
yeah,
and
exactly,
this is something as you build your intranet in SharePoint is, and this is something just so you're aware that SharePoint does a lot of caching in the back, and this is basically. If no, not everybody's technical here. It's saving some of the information on your local storage. This way, when you go back to that page, it loads up super fast.
exactly.
And for most users, I mean, they're only going to go there once it's almost done. So it's not going to be a big impact for them. But for us content creators, we kind of want to add one link and we want to go and we want to see it right away. So there's one key that you can do, and I must not press it as we record because it's going to break everything. But it's Control and R, right, Seb?
Exactly. Like I
That's the
just
one. There we go.
like
And this will basically refresh and clear the cache. So it'll make sure that you see the latest information.
absolutely. So now, as I go back to my tech lending and I go to the Department of Human Resources, now I do have the same navigation. As you can see, the edit button is gone, meaning that you cannot edit the hub navigation because you're not on the hub site. And now I have the exact same data that follows along. So that's amazing. Now, everywhere you go, you have the richness of that information in any type of sites. Same thing with the Vlad Talks Tech site that we created earlier. Now we have this navigation there. So when we're thinking about information architecture from a site perspective, different sites that you want to use as sites that will roll up in a hub, that's a great way to hint the availability of these sites for the users, because navigation is still an amazing piece of technology to really drive the user. Something that I wanted also to show before we end this hub site segment is some of the superpowers that we have when we're on a hub site. So now I'm a hub site. I'm at that level. You see, it's that site, and there's a bunch of things right there. There's two things I really want to show here. First one, search across sites. What does it mean? It means that we have the ability to search for content across all the sites that are within this hub. So from a context standpoint, you're never going away from this hub. So if I search, for example, for Contoso, I'm going to find a bunch of content, but all that content is only inside some of the sites and communication site that we created earlier. That's really cool, right? So that way, when you search in the internet and you don't want to have all the documents from all the teams that are all around, that's amazing. Now, if you want to go one level higher, you can click on organization, and now you're going to have access to the entire scope of what's in your SharePoint Online. But if you really want to focus just on that piece of information, on that hub site, you can do it right here. Now I'm back to my hub. Another thing also is, based on this, there are ways to add some web parts in there that are also hub aware. For example, if I edit the page and I add, for example, another, let me add um, rapidly highlighted content web part. We're going to come back later on how we configure it, but you're going to see that a lot of these automatically will give you the ability to filter, but because you're on a hub, it's going to always use the all sites in the hub by default. So when you're creating your intranet, it's going to really give you the the features and the scope that you need to make it as relevant as possible, always within the security boundaries of what the user can see when they're connected. So now we have all of this. We have a site that acts as a hub. We have multiple sites that are providing data to the hub. We have a navigation that allows you to really simplify the navigation between one site and the other based on requirements. Well, I think for now, Vlad, I think we're done for this segment.
There's actually one more thing, Seb, and that's almost brand new, the permission sync.
Oh, you're right.
And,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
that's something that I'll just say you might not want to do it all the time. This is really, uh, does it make sense for your scenario? Because one of the advantages of hubs is that flexibility of not everyone has access to everything. But in some cases, you might want to do, hey, everybody that has access to the main hub needs to have access to all of the other sites. So, Seb, if you go in the settings of the main hub and you go to permissions,
Absolutely.
you'll have a hub over there. Let me go back in full screen.
Yep.
And then see you have sync hub permissions to associated sites. So this way, and it's only for hub visitors. And this will not change the existing permissions on the other sites. It will just make sure that everybody who has access, who you add right here in hub visitors group, will be a visitor everywhere. And of course, you can do, I think it's everyone is the name,
Yeah, there you
right?
go. So
Everyone
everyone,
except external.
exactly. But keep in mind, it means, for example, if you're creating this permission to be synced, right? And you're instead of an intranet, which might be internal public, like internal content that everybody could definitely see as public. But if you're creating like a project hub where all these projects have different permissions, different members, different groups of people involved that you might not want everybody to have access to, this would not be a good scenario. And you said it super well earlier, Vlad, that this is great for some scenarios, but might be an issue for some others. So in this case, we're building an intranet that is mostly uh, like internal public information. So I'm comfortable with doing this. Everyone except external users. You can use user groups, so M365 groups in there also. So it's up to you to decide what type of
Yeah.
groups you assign there.
This is definitely a functionality that when Microsoft first introduced hub sites, I was like, I want this. How come this isn't there? And after doing a few intranets, when they actually added the feature after, because everybody like me said we need it, I realized that many people don't actually want it. And there is a use case for this. Don't get me wrong. There's many use cases where this makes sense, but it's definitely not a one size fits all. You should always turn it on. I hate to say the words, it depends, but it actually does.
You're actually right.
Uh, But Seb, like you said, I think we covered everything there is to cover about how to designate your site as a hub site, or to use the technical term, register your site
Yeah.
as a hub site, how to associate sites, how to create a site from there that's automatically associated, as well as the things that follow, such as the search scope, the branding, the navigation. So with this done, this is it for this video. Up next, we're going to learn how to display dynamic content. Now that we have it done, we can go to the more fun stuff and go into even more personalization. So thank you for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like it. Please click subscribe so you get notified when the latest videos are posted, and see you soon.